Okay, let's talk about quotes now. A quote is when you borrow your source's ideas word for word. According to Allen and Bacon, writers often choose to quote directly in order to give the reader the flavor and style of the source's author's prose, or to make a memorable point in the source author's own voice. And the quote gets quotation marks before and after it. Here are three examples of quotes. The first one, the sentence starts with a quote, and the signal phrase, Shiki says, is at the end. You'll notice that there is a comma after learning conditions right before the closed quotation mark. The same thing, there's a comma in the second one after Shiki says, and that's because a teacher's teaching conditions are his or her students' learning conditions is a complete sentence, and we're not using the signal phrase in a way where it joins the quote to make a complete sentence. But we are doing that with the third one. In their studies of mammal behavior, Rodriguez and Kuhn point out that lemmings are notoriously stupid creatures, etc. So you'll see that Rodriguez and Kuhn point out that lemmings are notoriously stupid. That all goes together into one sentence, and that's why there's no comma before that quote. We should use a quote when you want to distance yourself from the author. For example, if you're quoting somebody who you disagree with, you'd want to quote them, not paraphrase them. When you need to represent the writer by exactly what they said, and when you want your reader to pick up on the style of language that the author used. Here's an example of that last one. Here's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "The Emancipation Proclamation came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice." Pretty amazing descriptive language there. Here is an example of that same statement, but paraphrased, put in the writer's own words. He believed that the end of slavery was important and of great hope to millions of slaves done horribly wrong. That's a nice paraphrase, but probably the wrong choice. In this case, go with the original and quote it. So remember, if you have some language that just really puts across a certain tone or personality, or makes a point in a way that you can't really make with your own words, then that's a great reason to quote. And finally, some pro tips. In general, quotes should not be longer than one sentence for composition papers and research papers. Be wary of those long quotes. They can look like a crutch. All right, so let's go ahead and practice working with some quotes.